Cristiano Ronaldo didn't become who he is because people believed in him. He became who he is because they laughed at him.
Well, no, who's the best player in the world ever?
For me, the best player in the world ever, Diego Maradona.
Me.
It's more than just his height or his agility or his skill. There's something about Cristiano Ronaldo that everyone sees and everyone knows. He's different. Some people just have that it factor. We're standing at the edge of the impossible, a milestone that shouldn't exist in modern football. 1,000 official goals. It's the greatest statistical achievement in the history of the sport. But to understand the 1,000th goal, you have to understand the pain of the first. You have to understand that this machine wasn't born. He built himself into one. He was built by trauma, and his obsession for more led him on a journey of never being enough. This is the pain of becoming Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't born chasing greatness. And before the Ballon d'Ors, the Champions League nights, and the numbers that don't feel human, there was just a skinny kid in Madeira whose own body was working against him. He grew up in Santo Antonio, a poor neighbourhood on a small Portuguese island where football wasn't a dream, it was an escape. The house was crowded, the money was thin, and from the outside, Cristiano looked like every other talented kid with fast feet and big ambition. But inside his chest, something was wrong. At 15 years old, just as Sporting Lisbon had begun shaping him into something special, doctors found Ronaldo had a racing heart, a condition where his heartbeat accelerated dangerously even when he's merely standing still. For most kids, this would have been the end of the story, a warning, a reason to slow down. For Cristiano Ronaldo, it was the first betrayal. Suddenly, football wasn't just joy anymore, it was risk. Doctors told him he needed surgery immediately, a procedure on his heart, at 15. One mistake, one complication, and the dream dies before it begins. He laid in a hospital bed, hours away from the operating room, knowing something most players never have to face. His career might end before it starts. But Cristiano didn't ask, what if it goes wrong? He asked, how fast can I come back? The surgery was successful. Laser treatment corrected the abnormal rhythm. And just days later, he was back on the training pitch, running, sprinting, smiling. But something had changed, because once your own body betrays you, you never trust it the same way again. From that moment on, Cristiano Ronaldo stopped relying on talent alone. He trained like someone who believed time was fragile, like someone who understood that gifts can be taken away. At Sporting, while others left the training ground, he stayed. While he was good, he wanted to be better. He developed his game, stepovers, technique. He learned something early most players never learn at all. Talent is temporary, discipline is permanent. And so the obsession began. Not with goals, but with control. Control over his body, control over his output, control over his destiny. With this obsession, he tore through Sporting's academy, made his debut at 17, and barely a year later, he faced the almighty Manchester United's team and tore through John O'Shea, and had the entire Manchester team begging Sir Alex to sign him immediately.
He had John O'Shea doing stepovers without the ball, defending, on an oxygen tank at half time. And I was looking at Shazy thinking, raw, what is going on?
Years later, people would call him arrogant, obsessed, a machine. They didn't know the truth. That Cristiano Ronaldo broke himself early, just early enough to rebuild himself from scratch. But the heart wasn't the only pain that shaped him. Because a few years later, the world would give him a reason far more brutal to change. And when the world finally turned on him, he didn't respond with words. He responded with numbers. Now, every great transformation needs a villain arc. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't have to look far. After his debut for Manchester United, Ronaldo had become something of a known secret to the world. Tales of his footwork were now everywhere, but along those tales were even more damning ones on his reputation. In July 2006, during the World Cup quarter-final, in a matchup between a young Ronaldo at Portugal versus England, who had a young Wayne Rooney. The match, despite how riveting it was, wasn't about the goals or highlights. The entire match came to one moment between the two teammates, and a single look that would follow Cristiano for the rest of his career. Wayne Rooney went down after a clash with Ricardo Carvalho. Cristiano stood over him. The referee reached for his pocket. Red card. And then it happened. Cristiano Ronaldo looked towards the Portuguese bench and he winked. That 1 second changed everything. In England, the reaction was nuclear. Newspapers called him a traitor. Fans burned shirts. Ronaldo became public enemy number one, and booing followed him everywhere.
United beat Fulham by 5-1. There's the kind of reception we expected for Ronaldo.
Stadiums, tunnels, even warm-ups. When Ronaldo returned to Manchester United, Old Trafford, the place that once adored him, became a hostile ground. Every touch was met with whistles, every mistake magnified. For most players, this is where confidence collapses, and to be fair, he almost quit the team. But once again, Cristiano didn't collapse. Something snapped inside him that season, not his belief, but his priorities. Up until then, Ronaldo played like an artist, step-overs for the sake of step-overs, dribbles for the applause, moments over outcomes. The betrayal forced a brutal realization: beauty doesn't protect you, efficiency does. So, he stripped the game down. Less dancing, more sprinting, less flair. In the summer of 2006, while the world hated him, Cristiano Ronaldo rebuilt himself in silence. Extra gym sessions, explosive sprint training, relentless finishing drills. He didn't want to be loved anymore. He wanted to be undeniable. By the 2007-08 season, the transformation was complete. The winger was gone, and in his place stood something sharper. That season he scored 42 goals, won the Ballon d'Or, Champions League winner, a treble, PFA Player of the Year, and every single trophy that you can think of. And he did all of this as a midfielder. When fans screamed his name in anger, he answered with numbers. When defenders kicked him, he got back up stronger. And somewhere along the way, Cristiano Ronaldo realised something terrifying. Pain wasn't slowing him down. It was the one thing accelerating him. He didn't need acceptance, he needed resistance. But this obsession came with a cost. To become efficient, he had to become ruthless. To become ruthless, he had to abandon joy. And as the goals piled up, something else began to fade. The smile, the freedom, the boy who once played to escape. Cristiano Ronaldo was winning everything, but enjoying nothing. And then, just as he reached the summit of world football, his body delivered the final warning. Time. There's a moment every athlete fears. It's the moment your body whispers something your mind isn't ready to hear. For Cristiano Ronaldo, that came in 2014. In 2014, Ronaldo had already scored over 400 goals by then. He was unstoppable on paper. Ballon d'Ors, Champions Leagues, goal numbers that felt algorithmic. But behind the celebration photos and shirtless abs, something was wrong. He was constantly suffering from persistent pain, inflammation that wouldn't go away, a knee that didn't recover like it used to. Doctors eventually gave it a name: patellar tendinosis. In simple terms, degeneration. And this is an injury which changes everything for athletes who rely on speed. For the first time in his career, Cristiano Ronaldo confronted a truth he'd been running from. His body was no longer untouchable. Every performance now had a price. This wasn't the kind of pain you push through once. This was the kind that follows you home. On the one hand was his club career with Madrid, and on the other was his preparation against the FIFA World Cup with Portugal. Ronaldo at this point had become Portugal's biggest name ever. He had dragged them on his back and made them formidable. But here was an injury willing to take it all away. But Ronaldo didn't fade. He evolved. He stopped playing the game the way his body wanted to and started playing it the way his mind demanded. The winger Ronaldo we all knew died in this phase. In his place was something colder, smarter, deadlier, and way more efficient. He shortened his runs, preserved energy, chose moments instead of forcing them. And most importantly, he moved his positioning closer to goal. This was when Ronaldo exploded even further, scoring all kinds of goals, tap-ins, long-range goals, free kicks, headers, insane backheels. The kind of goals people dismiss until they realise nobody else scores them this often. From this point on, Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't chasing defenders anymore, he was hunting for space wherever he could find it. From that moment on, his goal tally went from 400 to where he is today. This is where the bulk of the goals came from. He evolved into a player with relentless efficiency. While others slowed down, he optimised his game to be better suited for his body. While others adapted reluctantly, he adapted violently. Because Ronaldo understood something most players don't until it's too late. Time was no longer on his side. But this evolution, like every other, also came at a psychological cost. He trained harder than ever to buy time, to push the clock back one more season. Recovery became his obsession. Diet became his religion. Sleep became a strategy. And still, the clock kept ticking. Because no matter how much you adapt, time never stops asking for payment. And deep down, Ronaldo knew it. Which is why the goals never felt enough. Which is why the celebrations grew shorter. Which is why satisfaction never arrived. He wasn't chasing records anymore, he was running from time. And when you run too hard, the mind either breaks or becomes something terrifying. At some point, numbers stop being statistics and start becoming a confession. Cristiano Ronaldo has scored over 950 career goals and counting. He holds the record as the highest goal scorer in Madrid's history, the highest goal scorer in Champions League history, the highest goals in international football. He's done it before where it's possible and impossible. Finals, knockouts, last-minute winners, goals with his right foot, left foot, head, chest, instinct. He's also delivered over 250 career assists and counting. And still, when he scores, he doesn't look relieved. He looks hungry. The final goal he's chasing has never been a number. It's not 500, not 800, not even 1,000. It's the one that proves the doubt was wrong, the laughter was wrong, the criticism was wrong. From the kid who couldn't speak English, to the teenager booed by an entire country, to the man whose body began breaking before his ambition ever did. Every version of Ronaldo was built to erase the previous insult. So when he reaches the summit, when the counter finally ticks to 1,000, don't expect joy. Expect silence, because climbing the mountain was never the reward. The climb was the escape. For most people, enough is comfort. For Cristiano Ronaldo, enough is never enough. That's the pain of becoming Cristiano Ronaldo. Not the training, not the injuries, not the pressure. But realising that greatness didn't free him. It trapped him in motion. And so he keeps running, keeps scoring, keeps proving, not because he wants applause, but because standing still scares him more than failure ever did. Now, if you enjoyed this story, this isn't just about Ronaldo, it's about what obsession costs and why greatness is rarely peaceful. And so subscribe to AsWatch for stories that go deeper than the highlights. See you in the next one.